All right, blocks in business development. So this one I want to talk about when people begin to build a business and they start to put the blocks inside of their degrees or lack thereof. It could be a certification, it could be a degree, it could be I don't have enough money, I don't have the right whatever. When you say that and you start to speak that, and you're already putting the block up. So you've already put the block out there of why this won't work for you. And this is why it won't work for you. And so this is where I'm going to get a little woo-woo. I wasn't woo-woo all my life, but I've become a little woo-woo over the years. And what I mean by that is when I launched my business years ago, I went into it with a mindset of it has to work. It has to work because I wanted out of the bedside so desperately that I had to make it work because I knew if I could get a chance to get away from the bedside, make the same amount of money, if not more, per hour that I was doing at the bedside and have better working conditions, then I would never go back to that. And so thankfully, grace of God, it worked out. But I believed it in my mind, and my mindset was right around that. It was geared for that. It was geared for success. And so I didn't think to myself, I don't have a business degree, or I don't have this, that, the other, whatever. I didn't go in thinking that. I went in thinking that I am going to do this. I'm going to try everything I can to make this work just so I don't have to work in those conditions the rest of my life, because I knew I was going to get older and I knew it was going to get worse. And so I knew that changes weren't going to come to the healthcare system anytime soon. And I still don't believe that they ever will come to the healthcare system. Just how I feel and how I believe, and that's a whole other series in itself. But when you start to put the blocks out there that you don't have whatever, the degree, the certifications, the money, I think that you've already told yourself that you're not worthy of it. That's it. You've already told yourself that you're not going to get it. So why even start? So how you talk to yourself and how you speak in your mind is what's going to end up happening. And so this is one of the things that I harp on a lot is mindset. Your mental mindset is going to be huge out here. And this is a struggle for many people. It's a struggle, especially for nurses, because you've been locked into this system that has kind of squashed you down over the years. And so I think that you really have to get real with yourself and ask, why is it that I feel that I need to go and get that degree? I just met a NP actually last week who was going back to school to get her master's. I said, oh, what are you going to do? She said, I'm going to get my master's. I said, what do you want to do? And she said, I want to launch a business. You can imagine how I shuddered inside. I said, I'm sorry, what? I want to launch a business. They told me I had to get a master's to start a business. Guys, come on. I've launched 3 businesses as a nurse. Never took one business class. Ask yourself why they're telling you that. Okay? We really got to talk about critical thinking here, because we're losing it. We are definitely losing critical thinking in society as a whole. Why do you think they are telling you that? It's the same reason they told everybody to go back and get their bachelor's, to keep you locked into the system. You hold the key to break free of the system, and they know that, and they don't want you to know that. So they tell you, you got to go get a master's. You can start a business, you got to get a master's. Now, if you need that master's because you want to climb that ladder within the healthcare system and you have dreams and aspirations of becoming whatever it is inside of that system, then go for it and get that master's if that's what you need. But I will tell you that I'm on the receiving end of a lot of emails from nurses who've gotten X amount of degrees, certifications, and they are miserable and in debt and enslaved to a broken healthcare system. So really get true and honest with yourself and ask what it is that you want out of this life, and what it is that you want out of your career, and what it is that you want for that business. What does that look like for you? And do you need to have that? Because a lot of times I think that we hide behind that. We hide behind, I need to go get, insert whatever it is, because that just delays the launch. And we're afraid of launching. So the more we can delay the launch, the more we can have an excuse, the more we can tell people we're doing something. See, I'm doing it. I'm doing something over here. It's going to help me. But then what we find is a couple years down the road, even after completing whatever it was, we're now looking for what next. Now what? And so I think that we have to really have these honest conversations with ourselves. And I think that this is where a lot of people get kind of hooked on the revolving door system of the healthcare system of, I need to get this, I need to do that, I need to chase. And, I've met people that have 24 different letters behind their names, and some of them are very happy and some of them are very unhappy. And so get real and get honest with who you are and what it is that you want for yourself. outside of those walls that we've put ourselves in, inside the healthcare system and outside of the healthcare system. What is it that you want? Why do you want to get that degree? And so I think that once you start to understand that and you honor that, then you can start to really get the mindset around how to bring that to fruition. And so when you start to think about it, you bring it into spirit, you bring it into who you are, and you start to speak it into existence, and you start to speak with it. The minute you start to say, I can't do, you've already put the block up. And so, yeah, it won't happen, unfortunately, because you've already put the wall, you've already cut yourself off from it coming into an existence. So hope that helps somebody.